Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A few topics to discuss in this video. One, the situation in Kursk, where, according to some, the Russian counteroffensive is underway. Yesterday, I covered it in a video where the Russians claimed they liberated 10 of their settlements that were captured by the Ukrainian/NATO incursion in Kursk. That's the first one. The second one, the situation in Pokrovsk seems to be very, very bad, or turns even worse for the Ukrainians. And this information comes from the Ukrainians themselves, claiming that they are facing encirclement. That would not be something that the Russians didn't do before. If you remember Bakhmut, it happened almost in the same way when these guys ordered their troops, these guys being the Ukrainians, ordering the Ukrainians to retreat, to leave their positions, I think too late, and a lot of them were captured and hurt while they were trying to escape. I think that's a crime. That was under Zaluzny, if you remember, and they claimed that Zaluzny gave the order with Zelensky and so on. Then we have an attack, a massive drone attack coming from Russia towards Ukraine. About more than 70 drones were launched towards Ukraine, and we're going to discuss how many the Ukrainians were, according to them, capable of destroying. And that's a very high rate, so they're very, very good at it, if you believe them. And then we have the last article where we find out the Russians, good-hearted as they are, they like sharing information. And not only sharing, but they will provide their friendly countries with knowledge. They will share knowledge of the NATO weapons they accumulated during this war, which is, you know, Abrams tanks and these things of information. I'm assuming China will benefit out of the captured American weapons, as well as about their tactics. So let's start with the first part of this video, which starts with the war zone. Russia's Kursk counteroffensive fully underway. So the war zone is not a Ukrainian or a Russian newspaper, media outlet, however you want to call it. So they wouldn't say that with, it's a statement. They could, might, little something. More than a month after Ukraine first invaded Russia's Kursk oblast, Moscow's forces have mounted a counteroffensive to try and take back the hundreds of square miles they lost. The Russian Defense Ministry claims its units of the North forces had reclaimed 10 settlements in 2 days. All right, so that's the first article, which says, oh, these guys are really on their way to liberate their country. Then we have Zelensky Stein coming again yesterday, and says that Zelensky says Ukraine's Kursk incursion has slowed Moscow's eastern advance. That means they had to do it, which is right here, where's Kursk, right here. So they had to do it because this, which was successful, I don't know exactly what the goals were, because I said, well, you're not going to go to Moscow from here. I mean, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll from here to Moscow. But anyway, that was a successful operation nevertheless. As I said, these guys seem to push them back, and I think they will push them back. On the other hand, Zelensky said that the Kursk incursion slowed down eastern advance, but the map doesn't tell the same story, because we have from BBC, and you can trust BBC very, very much, Ukrainians warned of being surrounded as Russia advances in east. Now, this is 13 hours ago. Zelensky's was 21 hours ago, and this one was yesterday, so that's at 8:56, so that's about 12 hours ago, 13 hours ago. So I don't think so. So let's see what the evidence the Ukrainians are bringing to support their claims. The situation is critical, a Ukrainian military officer in the east told the BBC near the front line south of Pokrovsk. Pokrovsk is in Donetsk, right here. This is Pokrovsk. The Russians call it differently. They don't call it Pokrovsk. They call it according to their map here, Krasnoarmeysk, right here. So this is the Russians advancing. Now you see this little thing here? I said many times that could be a little pinching move and then surround you. Or we're going to go to a different map, which how you like this map, right? The same thing, but this is, they show you exactly here, Pokrovsk. So they're advancing, and according to the troops, to the Ukrainian military officer, these guys situation is critical. Russia's military strategy now appears to be surrounding the city, which is a key transportation hub in the region. The officer, who preferred to stay anonymous, said his military leadership want to hold their position at all costs, often leading to the loss of troops and resources. The approach, he said, was resulting in a number of cauldrons, large territories surrounded by the Russian forces. One of them is south of Pokrovsk. South of Pokrovsk is that the one I showed you here, right here. Okay, so we are not planning to advance towards the city of Donetsk anytime soon. So we are holding positions near Nevelsky, when they're losing Kursk, said the officer. Well, the thing is, I'm going to show you a little map here. It's exactly what I was showing here. And on this map, this reminds me of, if you remember, Artemovsk, which is, if you want, Bakhmut, is right here. When these guys came here, the Russians advanced, and are already by Chasiv Yar or Chasov Yar. These guys ran away the last minute, and that was not only that. They were screwed up, if you remember, in Mariupol, right here by the Sea of Azov. Remember the steel plant, the Azovstal steel plant here? The Russians, the Ukrainians waited and waited and waited because the order was to hold I don't know exactly what to hold. And then the Russians encircled them here with everything. And remember, about 2,600 prisoners were captured by the Russians and taken to Russia. So I think the same crime occurred here. And if I remember correctly, it was not only in Bakhmut or Artemovsk. I think it was somewhere else as well. That was not, but it was in the south. Where is it now? These guys go by different name. So this is Artemovsk. This is the main one that provide the example of how the Ukrainians were just left over there, and then they've been told in the last minute, hey, how about you leave? And that doesn't work that way, my friends, because they get captured right here. The other one is Marinka and Avdiivka. That was Avdiivka over there. Nevertheless, Marinka the same way here, which were, again, the Russians advance all over the southern portion. So when this guy says that, when Zelensky Stein says Ukraine Kursk incursion has slowed Moscow's eastern advance, it does not mean that they indeed they slowed it, but that means the Russians were like, I don't know, how do you call it, light speed advance. That means right now, I don't know, just like a sound speed. So instead of being, I don't know, 300,000 kilometers per second, now is what, 850 kilometers per second? Anyway, so this is coming from Pokrovsk and in Kursk region, and now we're going to go to the massive, I would say, Russian massive attack of drones. So here it is, Ukrainska Pravda. Ukraine's air defense downs 72 Shahed drones to return to Russia. That's 74, so that means 74. So how many were launched? 76. So in this Ukrainian article, air defense shot down 72. Two of them, remember, they just returned somewhere, they just shit their pants. And 76 were the total. So that means two drones, I don't know what happened with them yet. And then tomorrow, or within the next 48 hours, we're going to find out that about 8 oblasts don't have electricity or something. And no running water because of the Russians attacking civilian infrastructure. And that is, you know why? Because all those 76 drones that the Russians launched, minus the 2 that came back, with the tail between the legs, going back to Putin's bed, right? And the other ones that, I don't know, they were being lost, wherever they were lost. We got 72, the 72, just the debris debris, when these guys are and whatever, when they fall down the debris of something no bigger than this, maybe a little bit bigger than this, they destroy the power lines, they destroy the how do you call that, distribution points of energy and all that. That's exactly where they fell. And obviously that's baboonish. But let's look at some details from the first article from Ukrainska Pravda. The ones that also, look here, they show us. These are the ones that they down. That's the evidence for you. Ukrainian air defense down 72 out of 76 Russian strike drones on the night of 13 to 14 September. In addition, 2 Russian drones had disappeared from radar on Ukrainian territory and 2 returned to Russia. The Russians launched 76 from Kursk and Yeisk, as well as Cape Chauda in temporarily occupied Crimea. So I'm going to show you Yeisk. This is across the Sea of Azov. Kursk, we already know where that is, and Cape Chauda is by the Kursk bridge, the Crimean bridge. And I'm going to show you what oblasts were attacked. So in the meantime, we go to the map, and obviously Kursk is right here. So from this area, this is one. Then we go to Cape Chauda, is right where my strong hand is, right here. This is the Kursk bridge. And the other one was Yeisk. You go a little bit northeast, and you go to this little cape right here. This is Yeisk. And this is the Sea of Azov, across from Mariupol and Berdyansk. This is where the Ukrainians tried their little incursion in Zaporozhye, the failed counteroffensive. And so let's see what kind of oblasts were targeted by the Russians. But remember, they were all shut down. Obviously, I mean, 2 ran back. The other one just lost their way somewhere. Like, what was his name? Grushi in 1814 in Waterloo. Remember, the guy lost his way, and if I remember correctly, with Napoleon Bonaparte and Waterloo. And then the Prussians, the Germans, showed up. So this guy Grushi was supposed to find these guys in the woods somewhere to pick them up, and the imbeciles lost their way in the woods, and the Prussians came on the battlefield, and Napoleon was like, oh shit, and said, okay, that's it, man. Where the fuck is Grushi? Oh, in the woods? All right. That's exactly how it was, if I remember correctly. But nevertheless, you can study more. So let's see. Air defense systems were responding in Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kherson. All right. Those are here. Odessa, Mykolaiv, Kherson. So this is from probably Cape Chauda here, and from Yeisk. Pam, pam, ram, pam, pam. And then Poltava, Kharkiv, Kiev, Donetsk, Zhytomyr, Dnipropetrovsk, Cherkasy, Vinnytsia, and Sumy Oblast. These are half of Ukraine. So these are from Cherkasy, Chernihiv, Kiev, Poltava. And then you got here in Sumy, Kharkiv, Kharkov, Dnipropetrovsk, Zaporozhye. So they went, let's see, you get Zhytomyr and Vinnytsia. So half of it. They didn't touch the Polish side of Ukraine. They didn't touch the Hungarian side of Ukraine, and didn't touch the Romanian north side of southwest part of Ukraine, but they touched this part of Ukraine, the Romanian part of Odessa, right here. All right, so this we're going to give us the same. So remember how many oblasts were here mentioned, enumerated: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, about 12. Tomorrow you're going to find out about 8 of them don't have electricity. And they give you the same information on this one. And we're going to go to the last article, Russia Today. Russia ready to share knowledge of NATO weapons minister. I mean, it was obvious. But hey, the Russians are just saying, you know what? We, sharing is caring. Or caring is sharing, however we want to take it. Including STDs. If you care, you share. Western arms have failed to live up to their reputation. Not reputation. It was not reputation, because reputation, actually, you make it by examples, I would say. This was just hyped over not even assessment of their weapons. But somehow the Abrams 1 tank was designated as being the best, or Leopard, or whatever. Maybe they are one of the best, but can I say that maybe it's the Russian tank? I don't know. But it's always, we have the invisible, the stealth, and the smart bombs. We all have this kind of things, and the other ones are just still using their swords and bows and arrows and so on. But hey, without us, everything will crumble. Probably without us, things will slow down. But necessity is the mother of invention. Nevertheless, we have a war here. These guys are going to invent a lot of killing machines, unfortunately. But hey, that's what it is. Russia's friends can benefit from its experience in dealing with Western weapons in the Ukraine conflict. Western nations have provided a vast quantity of weapons to Kiev despite their advertised capabilities, and I'm quoting, "They burn on the battlefield pretty good with no chance of repair." I mean, I said, you might be good, but you're not invincible. That's valid for all of them. Russian, French, Americans, and so on. We have acquired know-how in defeating various Western weapons systems and using modern tactics, and are prepared to share this experience with our partners. Russian weapons have fully confirmed their effectiveness in combat environment. Okay, well, good for you. I think the other ones did the same thing. And as I said, you provide F-16s, they will go down. They already went down. And it says here that at least 14 M1A1 Abrams tanks were fucked up. Then you got 103 Bradleys, infantry fighting vehicles, done. And then you have 141 armored personnel carriers, done. Then howitzers, 97, done. And hundreds of pieces of heavy weaponry. But they don't mention Leopard tanks. They are kept to the side because they either don't have them anymore, or the Germans told them, as the Brits told the Ukrainians, don't get our tanks into the Challenger 2 tank. Don't get them in risky operations. So what, you want them only when you enter Paris, like Charles de Gaulle? He entered Paris with the American army, the Allied army back there. Now, I know the French don't like that, but that's a reality. Or at least that's how we learned about it. I mean, anyway, so the same. They want the tanks only to patrol when they enter Moscow, but don't get involved in a war, or only over there where you can show, see, we won here. Why? There were the Abrams tanks. We lost here. Yeah, but there were no Abrams tanks. Yeah, because you kept them away because you would be, but here it was certain that you win. That's the way a war functions here, which is a public relation advertising campaign. That's what it is. And why? Because it's a business. The guys who are not behind the war, they make profits. The banks who are going to reconstruct Ukraine, about $750 billion, according to what I read a few days ago, Rothschild, or it was the International Monetary Fund. I think the International Monetary Fund went with 450, and then Rothschild and company, whatever, came with 740 or something billion dollars. Reconstruction, who's going to reconstruct it? I'm going to give you the money to the companies to reconstruct, and the companies over there have nothing to do with any political donations or anything like that. They just happen to be lucky, like you and I. When did something like this happen to you lately? To make, to triple your profits in about a year, just because someone picked you as, you know what, Gigi and Mimi and Tutu on Coco, you guys gonna have this reconstruction business. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Who's paying? The banks. Okay. Where did they get the money? Well, they have a fast finger. That's how they do it. They put a lot of zeros with that finger, right? On whatever finger they use, or maybe hoof. With the right hoof. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.